I'm in a different background today because my sister is in our bedroom and I'm not gonna kick her out. She's only gonna kick up a fuss. So I thought I would come into my parents' room to film this video. So yes, there's like a load of like stuffed toys on the bed. Like that's freaking Louis from the Jungle Book wearing a Christmas hat, although you can't actually see the Christmas hat. Today I thought that since it is National Eating Disorder Awareness Week, that I would do a video related to that, since I myself have struggled with eating problems and it's something that I feel very passionate about, and I really just want to help anyone in any way that I can. And I thought obviously this week would be fitting. It was actually a year ago that I uploaded my eating disorder story. If you haven't seen that, I'll link it down below. Feel free to go and check it out. I basically just talk about my experience, and yeah, I can't believe that was a year ago. A lot has kind of happened in that year with my mental health, and that's kind of what I'm going to touch on today. I'm going to talk a little bit about eating disorder recovery after therapy and after you've left professional. Sorry, is there like a smudge on my camera? Okay, I think that's it. Both of you just saw like a mark there. So eating disorder recovery after you've left therapy, after you've left health professionals, because there will be a stage where you will have to leave. And for me, it was over a year ago now. It was the beginning of February. That was my last therapy appointment. I think it was like the 9th of February 2016 or something like that. I actually posted about it because it came up on Time Hop. I think it was not long after that I had my last dietitian appointment. I don't know what date that was. It hasn't came up on Time Hop, so I don't know if I said anything about it, but basically where I am right now after leaving, I'm the happiest in health. Well, I wouldn't say happiest. Life isn't the best right now, but in terms of like my mental health, I'm in the best place I could possibly be. You know, that's not to say that as soon as you leave therapy everything's going to be hunky-dory. Like, I still have bad days. That's the first thing that I want to emphasize, is that when you leave therapy or, you know, the mental health service or whatever, you are not in, like, that's not, oh yeah, you're okay now. That's never really the case. It's an ongoing process. You can only stay in therapy for so long, and for me, I definitely hung on to it longer than I probably should have, because there's only so many things that they can tell you. There's only so many things that they can give you advice on without starting to repeat themselves, and that's the whole reason I left and I felt that I should leave, because it got to the stage where it was nothing new. I would go in, it would just be the case that my therapist was repeating herself. I felt as if I was beginning to repeat myself. But you know, when you leave, it's not saying that you're 100% recovered. When I left, I definitely wasn't 100% recovered. I don't even consider myself 100% recovered right now, because I still have struggles and I still have things that I should probably work on, but it's more bearable and I can live with it, and it doesn't affect my life in such a huge way anymore. So that's an important thing to remember, is that your recovery will be ongoing. It's an ongoing process that can take years and years and years. Not to be kind of pessimistic or anything, but part of me does believe, in fact a lot of me believes, that you never really recover from an eating disorder. The voice is always there in your head, the thoughts are always there, but it's just easier to control and easier to ignore. Some people might think it's completely possible to recover 100%, but that's just my view. I think it's also important to remember that even though you are now kind of responsible for your own recovery and continuing down that path, you can still talk to people. I should probably take my own advice when I say this, because I'm terrible. If I have a bad day, I tend not to tell anyone. Like, if you can talk to someone, whether it's a family member, a friend, a partner, maybe talk to someone who you know as well has kind of went through a similar situation. You're not alone in this. and you never will be. Another important thing that I need to emphasize is to continue to challenge yourself. And I think it's kind of like self-explanatory. Basically, whatever you were doing when in therapy, you have to continue doing outside of therapy. When I first left, I would still get really, really anxious if I was going to eat a pizza. Now, sometimes I get it. For the most part, I'm okay. When I first left, like a year ago, I would still find it a bit difficult to go out and spontaneously have McDonald's for dinner with my friends, but now I feel a bit better doing that. If I'm having like a not so good day and I'm just having a bit of a rough time and the thoughts are a bit louder than usual, it may kind of be like, I may kind of get a little bit upset about it, or like stressed or worried, or feel a bit more guilty about it, but it doesn't hold like, I'll have forgotten about it a few days after. I'd have, as I'm spending time with my friends, and that's what I'm there for. It doesn't matter what we're going and getting for dinner, kind of thing. So yeah, continue to challenge yourself. If you know that there are still foods that you feel guilt around, or that you still feel really apprehensive eating, you need to just like continue to eat them. Just because you don't have someone at you kind of going like, oh, which foods have you eaten this week that you found really scary, and kind of like, because in therapy that's kind of what I did. I was like, I felt as if I had to eat some of these foods in order to please my therapist or my dietitian, and it's only in time that I've realized, actually no, I'm not doing this for them, I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this so that I can eat these foods again that I genuinely like. I'm doing this so that I can go out and order pizza with my friends or whatever. It's that thing where the more that you challenge yourself, the easier it gets. And I'm sure if you have been in recovery for a while, you would probably experience this. The more that you eat that food that initially terrifies you, the easier it gets. And the more that you realize, actually, eating this isn't going to make me fat. It's important to continue whatever you were doing, even if it's writing down your thoughts, writing down positive thoughts, negative thoughts, whichever kind of exercise your therapist or whoever has got you doing, continue doing that. Just because they're not there doesn't mean that you can just say, okay, I'm just gonna give up now, and I think for the majority of people, when they leave therapy or mental health service, it's usually because they are well enough to continue on their own. And when you're at that stage where you're well enough, you don't want to go back, and you've got a much more clearer mindset, and you can push the negative thoughts away more easily. The next point that I want to make is one that isn't really going to apply to everyone, because I know not everyone loses their period, but if you do, and I did, and you've left, all these you've left services behind, you're not getting any professional help anymore, and you're just sitting there waiting for your period to come back. And like, that was me. I lost my period, and I genuinely thought it was like never gonna come back. It got to the stage where I was like, right, if it doesn't appear in like the next few months, I'm gonna have to go to the doctor or something, because I don't know if maybe my body's just not at the way it's meant to be, maybe I'm doing something wrong, maybe it's never gonna come back. Don't worry, it will. Again, on Time Hop came up yesterday, I think it was, maybe the day before, talking about, I was like on Twitter and I was like, oh my god, I think I just had my period for the first time in like 2 years, I was crying on the toilet, blah blah blah. Yeah, that was a year ago, and then it didn't come to anything, and then didn't have anything for a few months, and then for like a few months, I think it was like my last few months in college, and maybe in the summer there was like a little bit there every month. It's very irregular. Half the time didn't come to anything, and it's only in the last few months, I wish I could remember what month exactly it was that I got it back for the first time properly, but I think it was maybe just after the summer, maybe August, September or something. It finally came properly, and then that's me. I've had it now every month. And when it does start up again, it probably will be a bit irregular. It will come eventually. It's all to do with your body and your body trusting you again. your body wants to know that you are definitely not going to put it into starvation mode again. It's all about kind of your body being at a set weight and you eating enough. It's also all to do with the amount of fats you eat as well. When I was looking into kind of trying to get your period back, a lot of people, including those people that are in recovery, were saying, yeah, it's about upping your fat intake. It's all about patience, actually. Like, it will come back eventually. Just take each day as it comes. During my time in therapy, and even to this day, I just take each day at a time. Each day is a new clean slate. If I feel as if I've eaten too much one day, I can go, it's okay, you know, even if I have eaten too much, tomorrow's a new day. Just keep pushing forward. Do everything you can to keep pushing forward. And also, please remember that if you do feel like you can't cope, and I'm lucky enough that has never been me. I've always been quite lucky in terms of recovery that I've been able to continue forward. I mean, there was a time where I was kind of stuck in limbo for a while, but I've never actually went backwards in recovery, and I feel very, very lucky for that. But I know that a lot of people fall into relapse, and if you feel that happening, don't fret. Just, you can go back, you can call up your therapist again, call up the doctor, you know. If you feel like you need help again, it's there. You know, I remember when I left, I did say, yeah, I was a bit worried about, you know, what if things suddenly go wrong again? And she was like, well, you can come back. That's what they're there for. They're there to help. They want you to get better. And just know that it will get easier. Because I can truly vouch for that. It gets easier. As I said, you know, I'm not saying that you're not going to have a bad day. I still even have bad days. But it just gets easier to block out the voice, ignore them, and just get on with your life. I hope this makes some sort of sense, that some people can take some good advice from. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!